Hello, everybody, and welcome to GamerVision. This is episode 24 of this show, which we're closing in. We're closing in on 1 year since the launch of this show, and it's crazy to think that a year is already knocking on the door. But
Those
I am
years
your host,
always
Jeff.
go by fast.
Yeah, it just disappears. Like I have no idea how it just it went from an idea to hey, now we're a year into doing it.
Hmm.
But I'm Jeff from Just One More Level, and we obviously have Tony from Procedurally Generated with us today.
Howdy, howdy,
How are you doing,
everybody.
Tony?
I am doing wonderful. Yeah, those years, they always sneak up on you. I've done three different shows now that have reached the, four different shows now that have reached the year mark. And that, whether it's episode 52 of a weekly podcast, episode 25 of a bi weekly podcast, that year comes by faster than you think.
It gets crazy. Like the show was like January of last year. I started getting the itch to get back into content creation and stuff after going on hiatus for a few years, and got to join up with you all with the Procedurally Generated podcast, doing the yearly predictions of 2021, and that just kind of solidified the idea that yeah, this is something that I want to get back into doing. And well, here we are, like all sorts of streams later, new shows, GamerVision. You all did a live recording of the Procedurally Generated show. How did that go?
Yeah, we've done a few of those over the last few weeks just to kind of see, try out some different things, and see what the reaction is from people. It went really well. We were surprised at just how many people showed up for. I mean, for us, a live show, if it gets two or three people, is really fun. But I think I had seven. Just in an impromptu thing. It was just like I put it up on Twitter. I was like, "Hey, anybody interested in watching us record the podcast live?" And we did it. I had seven people rolling in and out. Four, I think, was the highest at one point concurrent. Had chat going. It was a lot of fun, and we'll
That's
probably do more of those.
people getting eager to be engaged, and with everything going on with things slowly opening back up. Like, um, I'm curious to see what the convention scene is like in the Oklahoma area. Just with it seems like things are starting to finally get back to not quite pre-pandemic, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah. We'll never
I'm really
get.
hoping.
I don't think we'll ever get pre-pandemic levels comfortable for quite a
Yeah.
while. If ever, a lot of people will be like, "I'm going to wear my mask forever and just whatever. You do you, and that's fine." And
But it is nice to see that the interaction is starting to come back, and that people are eager to be engaged with stuff going on.
I'd love to do
Um,
live stage shows again. I've been missing the opportunity to do those.
that's I'm sure that you're eager to get people in the hot seat for your trivia. That's
Absolutely, absolutely.
just to see who really knows their stuff. Um, but for the most part, there hasn't, we're going into this episode, there really hasn't been a whole lot of big groundbreaking news happening. There's the whole thing with Elon Musk and Twitter, but that's not gaming related.
No, we don't
Um,
care about that here. Uh,
yeah.
we're sort of
Um,
hitting that pre what would be the pre E3
yeah.
lull a little bit. People are starting to hold back their news a little bit. I think we'll continue to see that. I don't think
Yeah.
E3 is not going to be a thing, but we've got Summer Game Fest, and I think a lot of people still want that sort of June timeframe burst of news, and I think we'll
It's a
still
great
see more of
time.
that stuff. Yeah, it
Like,
is.
like June always felt like the perfect time to get all kinds of big announcements out and get people talking about the holiday shopping season, and just what was going to be happening. And I mean, over time, as the industry has grown, like companies aren't like relying so heavily on that November, December timeframe. But uh, I do like the big conventions, the big like uh, making a spectacle of stuff. And I think that's one thing that I really miss about uh, E3 proper is like having Sony and Microsoft, and Nintendo doing these big conventions, which obviously it takes a lot of money and resources to do, but like having those
Mhm.
giant conventions where they could hopefully sneak in some surprises was always nice to to have around that June timeframe, to have a few months to really stew it over and ask all kinds of questions going into the holiday season. Um, I'm not quite sure. I haven't really kept up with what was going on as far as like the Summer Game Fest, like what's lined up, but I'm hoping that it can fill that void a little bit.
Uh,
Um,
like I don't honestly. I've never been a big fan of Jeff Keighley's shows. They're more commercial than they are anything
yeah,
else. And I mean, I realize that's the whole point of announcing a bunch of games is you're selling those. They're just basically commercials for those games. But his
yeah.
stuff always just feels a little different.
Like being able to see the people behind the scenes making games and they're up on stage and like they're getting their time in the spotlight to be able to showcase what they've been working on.
The problem with with all digital events is we don't get stuff like Ravi drums or
Yeah,
anytime Ubisoft does
yeah,
anything, it's half music
yeah,
concert, half dance off, and then a few game
yeah.
announcements. And they're always a little cringe, but you always want to watch just to see what might happen.
That's or those moments like when something innovative is being shown off, and you got like Project Milo with the original Connect, where you just have people talking to these AI avatar looking things that just have no soul, and it's very creepy experience. But
Yeah.
at the same point, it's something people talk about.
Yeah, it is. That's
Um,
exactly that's part of the whole thing about
yeah,
E3 is you got to have all those conversations, not only about the games, but all of the weird stuff that happened, the cool stuff that
yeah,
happened, um, and so I like that. That is one thing I really like about the games industry and that June timeframe is that just big burst of conversations that everybody's having about all the different stuff.
yeah, and this year we'll be kind of lacking it. Like I said, hopefully the Summer Games Fest can kind of fill it a little bit, um, because there's so many question marks going into. I mean, we have a couple of the puzzle pieces going into this holiday season. Like obviously, new Pokemon, we know that's happening. Breath of the Wild 2, we know that got pushed back to next year, but there's still so many things from like the Microsoft and Sony camps that we don't really know yet.
Yeah.
Like, is Starfield gonna happen?
No.
Probably not. Probably not. Is
Probably
God
not.
of War is God of War Ragnarok gonna happen this year? Sony's doing a lot of teasing, um,
You know,
but
Nintendo just finalized and firmed up the release dates for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Splatoon,
yeah,
and they switched. They sort of switched places. Xenoblade was originally going to be September. Now it's the end of July, and Splatoon 3 was going to be July and is now in September.
that's Nintendo is playing a little too close to the name of their current console. They're switching things up a little too much, and they're
That's what they
like
like to do.
that's I saw that the Super Mario Brothers movie got delayed,
It did, yeah.
which
And, and that's a 4 month delay. I don't know what that could possibly mean. Like, it's
yeah,
not Sonic level where they have to go back and completely change the Mario model because you're not going to do that in 4 months. Um,
yeah, that's man, I'm so glad that they changed the Sonic model, because that, speaking of creepy and cringy,
yeah,
um,
man, that
putting a
Mario
human
movie.
face, like a human face on Sonic is just
Yeah,
mm-mm,
don't do
no.
that. But because they did that, that movie was so well received. The Mario movie has a huge bar now that it's got to get
Yeah,
over because we're starting to see people, that love these video games and make good movies about video games, and
yeah,
if
uh,
Nintendo gets this wrong, that means doom for a lot of their other franchises that could be huge. Like a Metroid movie or a Metroid TV show would be amazing.
yeah.
A Zelda movie or a Zelda TV show, a la Lord of the
I mean,
Rings or Game of Thrones or something. I mean, as long as it's teen rated or whatever, because you're not going to want to go down that M rated route with Zelda or anything like that.
yeah,
But a Zelda TV show would be amazing to watch.
yeah. Like they've got the properties to be able to do it. And just a matter of making sure that what comes out like is quality, because like Detective Pikachu and Sonic have over
Mm-hmm.
the last couple of years have really shown it's possible to make a really good like video game adaptation for a movie. Once you got Uwe away from making video game adaptations.
Or
Um,
don't let Paul W.S. Anderson make a movie about video games. because we
Yeah.
know. I mean, Resident Evil was okay. Like it
Yeah.
started out okay, and it just went downhill from there. But Monster Hunter was
Yeah.
awful.
Um, but with it kind of being light as far as like big news going on, what games have you been playing to kind of fill fill the time in between big news stories?
Well, I have been playing a copy of not Lego Star Wars. I have been playing that, but Star Wars: The Force Unleashed on Switch. We got a review
Okay.
copy of that in over at Procedurally Generated, and I've been playing through that. Um, I played that game when it first came out on the 360, what, a decade ago, probably. I don't remember exactly how long it's been, but it's been a
Words
while.
that hurt.
Um,
Words that just cut just ah, 10
And
years.
I remember really enjoying that Force Unleashed video game and Force Unleashed 2, which was, I think, even better than the first one. Um,
Yeah.
but going back now, playing this on the Switch, I don't know what version of this they've done. If they've just ported over the 360 version, if this is a version of like a PC port or whatnot. But I don't remember the game being like as wooden as it is. Like these
Yeah.
characters, they feel like they move like puppets. In the cutscenes, anyway. In the gameplay, it's fine. Like it's smooth. It works really nicely. That game does a very good job of making you feel like a powerful Force user, which makes sense considering the point of the game and who you're
It's
playing
unleashed.
as. Yeah, but everything around it, as far as menus, the menus look like they're just pulled straight from the 360. They feel old. They look old. Um, all the presentation around the actual gameplay part of it just feels dated, and it's weird. It's a weird mix
Yeah.
of good gameplay. The gameplay holds up today, but the presentation just feels a little weird.
Did they go the cloud route, or is it like
No,
actually
it's a native. Yeah,
okay?
it's a 360 game. I mean, there's no okay. There's no reason Kingdom Hearts should be a cloud version, but they didn't go that route. It is a Switch native port of the
Okay.
game.
But I see on here that you got Dark Deity. Is that another? Not quite sure about that title.
That
What's
is
that?
that's a Fire Emblem clone, uh,
Ooh, I'm going to
which
have. I will make note of that.
it came out in November, I think, of last year on the PC. It's on Steam. I think it's $25 on Steam. It came out to the Switch late in March of this past March. So it's about a month old on that system, and I think it's $20
Okay.
on there. It is a wonderful. Like I am enjoying the heck out of it. I'm 6 or 7 hours into it. I think 10. I'm on the 10th chapter, and I think there's 28 chapters altogether. So I'm starting to close in on that halfway point of the game, and I am loving every minute of it. Aside from a couple weird difficulty spikes, like chapter 7 frustrated me to the point that I wanted to turn the game off, and I did for a couple days before I came back to it and sort of regrouped and got through it. And then chapters 8 and 9 were a breeze to play through. So it has some weird difficulty spikes, but it is Fire Emblem, and it is a wonderful Fire Emblem clone.
Well, I will absolutely have to check that out
Uh,
because Fire Emblem has always been a franchise that I've enjoyed, and probably next to Star Fox, probably like my favorite Nintendo franchise.
yeah,
So
Fire Emblem is in my top four. It's probably my fourth favorite franchise of all time.
that's
I never miss a Fire Emblem game. Now that in recent years, they didn't come to the states for quite a while, or
yeah,
we got weird versions of them. So it wasn't until pretty much the Wii U in that area when they started putting the games on the 3DS. That's when I got into Fire Emblem, but I played a lot of Fire Emblem, and I have gone back and played some of the previous Fire Emblems that have become available. Um, Dark
yeah,
Deity does some cool stuff to kind of differentiate itself from Fire Emblem a little bit. It gets rid of the weapon triangle, and it goes with
okay.
a weapon versus armor system. So different
Okay.
types of weapons do better against different armor types, and you can level those up individually. So if you have a character that you really want to focus on one particular thing, like you want them to be able to take out heavily armored knights, you can sort of spec them that way. If you've got guys that you want to focus on magic users, you can do that. Um, and the other thing that it does that I really like, while I like the permadeath system in Fire Emblem, I think it's an important part of that game. It can be frustrating
Also
at times.
frustrating. Yeah,
It can be
very,
very
very frustrating.
frustrating at times when you are, an hour into a level and
Yeah,
one of your strongest characters dies, and you're like, ah, I made one small mistake. And granted,
yeah,
I live with that mistake, and it hurts sometimes.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but
Oh, yeah,
uh,
I know. Oh man, yeah, I know.
uh,
Uh,
Dark Deity doesn't do permadeath. What they do is if a character falls in battle, they take a grave wound and it reduces one random
alright,
stat.
okay,
So
I can get behind that.
um, they're out of the battle for the rest. They're out of the fight for the rest of that battle, but they come back the next time with some reduced stats. So it can
All right.
be, and a lot of times I'm like, thank God it was just the luck stat. I can live with that. But when you
Yeah,
when you lose a couple points in strength for a character who relies pretty heavily on strength, you're like, oh, that sucks. But I've got to
that's
work
a
through it. Um,
yeah.
so it's so good though. I am very much enjoying this game. There's a couple that I got. I can't remember what the other one is called, but right around the same time, I had a little bit of extra credit for the Switch, so I got Dark Deity, and I got another Fire Emblem clone that I haven't started yet because I want to finish Dark Deity before I go to that one.
That's that's one thing. Like Three Houses is such a massive game, and I enjoyed it so much, and it's probably I don't know, like Triangle Strategy got is a really great game as well. But with like Fire Emblem, Three Houses, it's like I put in probably close to like 300 hours playing the different uh, schools, but they did a lot to kind of modernize
Yeah,
Fire Emblem, and I like the fact that they kind of got away from the weapon triangle is still kind of there, but they adjusted it a little bit to they just did so many great things with Three Houses. Um, all of like almost every character, like just so much different personality and stuff. Like
hmm
it just great, and I'm excited to see what Nintendo does more or does next with Fire Emblem. With hopefully that same openness, maybe maybe tone down the like academy or church exploration, like after each battle, like having to run around and talk to every single person again,
yeah.
and there's like 50 different people to talk to.
Yeah,
Um,
Dark Deity does a lot of that with the relationships as well, that like Fire Emblem did. So after every battle, if you've had characters that have been fighting close to each other, those relationships get stronger, and you have to listen to all of those conversations. Uh,
it's
so
like, yeah, this is. I'm so glad to be doing this conference. Yep. Okay. Next. Okay.
yeah,
Yep.
there's some of them I've been like, oh, thank God, there's a skip button,
Yeah.
and you can just skip through the conversation because those characters I don't really care about. There are some characters I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see where this relationship is going, and the just the dialogue between them can sometimes be funny, it can be poignant, it can be serious, it can be silly. So it's fun. Um, I think there's 30 different characters that you'll get at some point.
A pretty expansive cast, it seems
Yeah,
like.
and each of them have different jobs that, as you level up, they earn promotions just like in Fire Emblem, where you can change their class at a specific point, and they gain different skills, different stats. Uh, I'm going with this playthrough of this. I'm going very heavily into cavalry, and I'm just trying to make a mobile force that I can just move around the battlefield as quickly as I want.
And, the entire battlefield is mine.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's for me. Elden Ring is still eating up my time.
Yeah,
I think I'm about six, 60 to 65 hours in. Um, Still have no idea what the story is. Um, like it is the Soulsborne games. They just drop you in. It's like, oh, you figure it out.
yeah.
Like um, so I at this point I have no idea who I'm helping, who I'm hurting, what I'm doing. I just know that I'm dying a lot, and occasionally I kill things. Um, but it's just such a wonderful game as far like it is the the definition. Like this is the example that I hope a lot of companies and developers look at as far as like an open world. Like there's so much exploration, and I have yet to really see anything like replicated. Like there's I haven't seen anything just like a palette swap of something. It like the items are always fresh. If I go into a new area, like the dungeons are fresh, the enemies are fresh, like everything. Like I remember playing like Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and even with Skyrim and stuff, like so much just repeated stuff where it's like I feel like I've been here before. And with Elden Ring, that is not the case. Like every dungeon I go into is completely new. The map is huge. The enemies are all different. The bosses all have such incredible, like creative ways to just murder me. Um, and so enjoying that. And I've also been playing MLB The Show 2022 on the Xbox through Game Pass. Um, it's really the first one that I've sank my teeth into, and I have learned I am terrible at batting. Um, like
Just make
I,
yourself a pitcher. Both leagues have DHs. You don't have to worry about hitting.
yeah, yeah, I'm just like, all right, there, strikeout,
Yeah,
strikeout, strikeout. Oh, I hit the ball, they caught it. Okay,
yeah.
well, that's great. Fielding, I'm okay at. I learned how to jump here recently, and that's helped stop a couple home runs. But
What position are you playing?
uh, with the like right now, I'm doing the I'm in the right field. So for the most part, there's not a whole lot of action out there, but
Yeah,
I like how it cuts to basically just times where I will have
yeah.
action.
It makes it
Um,
very easy to get through a season when you're
yes,
only playing when a game takes 5 minutes
yeah,
because all you're doing
yeah,
is like a couple fielding plays and then
yeah,
three strikeouts and you're
yep.
off to the
and
next
and
game.
and and then get to hear all the commentators talk about, well, this guy really is struggling. He's not really like he's not bringing much to the scoring portion of the team. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's I don't know how I like all of the trainings and the mini games and stuff to try to improve my like plate vision and plate discipline.
Oh, I hate all those
Um,
things. I hate
I'm
them.
like, it's like I'm seeing the numbers improve, but then when I'm in the actual game and
You don't.
I'm swinging and stuff, I'm seeing all kinds of negatives and stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm basically it's like paying on student debt. Like I do all this stuff outside of an actual game of baseball to increase my stats, and then I get into the game and I'm like, I'm missing everything, and it's just a detriment. And I'm like, this is so much fun. I'm having a blast.
I think I'm probably
uh,
25 or 30 games into my season right now on there. I'm playing for the Mississippi Braves, I think. So I'm playing for
okay.
the Atlanta Braves AA team. I think my character's batting average is right around 280, but I have as many strikeouts as I do hits. So,
Well, I don't. I've got considerably more strikeouts than hits, but I'm leading the team in home runs. So,
I am too,
you know,
surprisingly. I have five home runs, and I'm a contact hitter. I don't know how I'm hitting any home runs, but
that's another thing that I'm running into is like I I don't know. I guess I'm too eager to hit the ball
mm,
because like I'm always like, yep, I can hit that. Nope, I can't, and it's just like every time. But then occasionally it works out in my favor. I hit a home run, and then uh, like occasionally the team wins.
yeah.
But
The one thing about MLB The Show that for the last 2 or 3 years now has just absolutely frustrated me is the check swing feature because it's useless. Like if I start to just barely tap the button, I'm like, oh, I know that's a ball. I want to hold off. The guy will do
yeah,
a check swing, and every single time they call a check swing a strike. I have never once had a thing where
yeah,
they're like, okay, you held up, because I realize it halfway through, and I'm like, okay, stop, stop. I don't want to swing,
yeah,
and it's like,
and,
nope,
and then
doesn't matter.
it does the animation. It's like, oh, nope, nope, strike. What? Like, what was the perp? But
Yeah.
yeah, Of course,
Or
for me,
there's the other times where you hit the button and you think, okay, I have actually swung this bat, and it's like, no, you didn't.
yeah, yeah,
There have been
that's
half a dozen times that I have pushed the button and nothing happens.
yeah. And I don't know. I'm still I don't fully the timing of things. It's like I could I could swear that I'm doing all right with the swing, but it's always like very late or
Mm-hmm.
very early. And like at some point it's either I'm just like maybe my reflexes are just that bad.
Yeah.
But like I feel like the game, maybe it's part of the stats, I guess. I don't know. Like, and I wish that there was more things that you could do, because it's like five games in a row before you have like an off day, and then you can spend that off day to do the mini games. But then like there's been a few times where I've had like three off days and I can still only do one mini game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I would like to be able to do more things outside of the actual, like, games, to be able to improve my stats and hopefully improve my chances of not completely beefing it at the plate, because
Like,
it's basically a guaranteed strikeout.
baseball is my favorite sport, just straight up. I love baseball. I played it for years, played all through high school. Um, Absolutely love baseball. I am very bad at baseball games. When it comes to sports games, I like to play at a lot of them. Like I play Madden just about every year. I play the MLB stuff every year. But my favorite, the games I actually really like to play sports wise, are hockey and
Ooh,
golf.
yes. I remember like with the NHL games, just turning all of the rules off and then just having a heyday, just turning it into as much of like an arcadey thing as possible. Just make an absolutely absurd team with absurd names,
Yeah.
turn off all the rules, and then just have a blast with it. Because I mean, I'm like I don't understand hockey, um, but it is so much fun to just like randomly run up and check people and just see the crazy ragdoll physics that happen with the the players, and then going back through all the replays and stuff and just seeing just the most insane, like how just the cartwheels and stuff that happen. Um, but that's for the most part, like I got it. Like it's probably the biggest reason that I really like Game Pass is like I would not even like I collect the steel books and stuff of the MLB games because they're I just I I have a problem, and and it's just one of those things where it's a steel book. I gotta have it,
Yeah.
and they're usually like $5 after a couple years.
Hmm.
Um, but I never really actually played them. So, but with Game Pass, I was able to jump on the show 2022 uh, right at launch, and it's been just a nice casual game to hop into and play, even though I'm terrible at batting.
I'll tell you
Um,
a really fun baseball game. If you're interested in playing baseball at all, a really fun baseball game to play is Super Mega Baseball 3.
okay.
It takes itself 100% non-seriously. You
One of my
have
best things.
ridiculously looking caricatures of players, both male and female. It's a mixed gender game, so you've got guys and girls playing together on the same teams. Um,
Okay.
it's got stupid names, like all the names of the players are stupid, all the names of the teams are stupid, but the actual on-field baseball is really good. It's a solid baseball simulation, and it's got something that I wish MLB The Show would have, and I think has had in the past, and that's the ability to create your own teams and create your own leagues.
Um,
So I am I have created my own little Oklahoma Texas league where I have the town that I'm in. I created uniforms for them. The town I went to high school in is in the Texas League, and they've got their own uniforms. You get to design the logos, the uniforms, everything, and it is so much fun. That is a very fun baseball game to play.
that's that for, that's one thing with like the NHL games, and it's been several releases since I've played an NHL game, but at some point they took the feature out of making your own teams and making your own players and stuff, and like it was kind of at that point I was like, I'm not really interested anymore. It's like being able to just create your own absurd team and
Yeah.
like have the Oklahoma Tornadoes or the Tulsa Tornadoes or whatever. Um, but
That is a very common sports name for created. Uh,
check out all the stuff with procedurally generated. I'll try to get some links and stuff for the show for that. Um, and we will see you with the next episode of GamerVision here on YouTube.
Bye,
See ya,
everybody.
everybody.